So I've been a long-term G305 user. Like, this has been my main mouse for the past 4 years now, and honestly, this is one of my favorite mouses by far. So when I heard that Logitech was releasing a successor, I was genuinely excited. So now we have this, the Logitech G309, but I do have to say right off the bat, I'm just slightly disappointed. First off, we pretty much didn't see any improvements in the weight compared to the G305. The G305 with the AA battery comes in around 88 grams, while similarly the G309 comes out at around 83 grams. So this mouse is still pretty much on the heavy side, but of course we can still do a lot of the mods that can be done on the G305. The most notable one being adding a lithium-ion battery, which can significantly help with reducing of the weight. But I know from a lot of people, and some of my friends actually, is that not everyone is trying to make these mods. I mean, think about it. Do you think everyone is trying to purchase a brand new mouse just to have to modify it to make it better? And I really feel that Logitech could have improved in this area a bit more, but actually they kind of have. Logitech is promoting on the back of this box that this mouse only weighs 68 grams if you use it with PowerPlay. If you don't know what PowerPlay is, basically it's a charging system that Logitech sells that allows you to keep your mouse charged at all times as long as you keep it on the area. So for people that actually have PowerPlay, this is obviously really useful, but I'm sure a majority of you guys probably don't. And especially with the price of it being more than the mouse itself, it's just not practical for a lot of people. So for the regular user that just bought this mouse and is not really looking to modify it, I mean, you're not really seeing a major improvement from the G305. This mouse has actually made a lot of changes to the shape though compared to the previous model. Honestly, they're not even really similar. You can see side by side that these mice are not even close in shape, and I'm not saying that one is better than the other. It's just not going to be a similar experience, especially if you're coming from the previous model. And I'm also not trying to say that if you switch from that mouse to this one, you will have a bad experience. Like, the G309 is actually a pretty comfortable mouse to use. The shape is honestly quite safe. But what you will notice with the mouse right away is how back heavy it is, especially if you're using it with the default configuration with the AA battery. This thing is not evenly distributed at all. I also find quite funny that this back piece right here weighs about 5 grams, which I honestly think is really insane. Like, I would totally recommend playing with this thing off if you're trying to reduce the weight. But overall though, I mean, the mouse itself feels pretty good. There's not really much to complain about when it comes to the shape. I just really wish that Logitech would have made a few improvements to the weight. As for build quality, you won't have any worries there. This mouse is super sturdy, honestly no flexing at all, and the mouse itself really doesn't feel bad. We aren't seeing the same coating compared to the G Pro X Superlight, but really it's not the biggest difference, and that's the one thing that I've always have to give props to Logitech for, because a lot of their products are actually built super well. Obviously I won't be able to test the long-term durability now, but I feel like you won't have any issues. The sensor itself is just the Hero 25K. It's a solid sensor, not really much to complain about. I haven't noticed any hiccups or lag, which of course should be expected for a mouse of this price, and Logitech usually does pretty well in this area anyways. Of course, you can use this mouse in two ways, either from the dongle or Bluetooth. I personally always go with the dongle. I believe you just get the best performance, and with it you can get up to 300 hours of use time if you're using the AA battery, and about 600 hours with Bluetooth. This is another area where we do see a difference from the G305, as the G305 obviously doesn't have Bluetooth, and if you're looking to use this mouse for just regular PC tasks, I would much rather just use the Bluetooth connection. So as for the switches, we are seeing the Lightforce optical mechanical switches. These are super light to use, they have a super fast rebound, and you won't have any problems trying to click this mouse fast. The scroll wheel is also fine, so if you're needing to use it for a game like Fortnite for example, you won't see any issues here. I will say though that the scroll wheel has a pretty deep sound, which I don't know, I thought it was just kind of funny. The side buttons I think are really solid, they're quite big, and they're actually placed in a pretty good position, which makes them easy to use. I do actually believe that these are much better than the ones on the G305, as I would always complain about the side buttons just being a little too small, but all of that is fixed with the G309. And we do also see a DPI button on the top, which is something I really appreciate, but we don't actually see this feature as often. We aren't seeing any high polling rates, which of course they are a little bit behind on, but overall this mouse performance has been pretty good. But the problem I have with this mouse the most is the price tag. For $80, I really can't see myself recommending this to anybody. I feel like there aren't enough standout features and differences for me to go out and tell someone that they should buy this. I believe we really needed to see an improvement in the weight area, because there really isn't much of a difference compared to the G305. If Logitech just made some slight improvements and maybe try to be a little bit more innovative, this mouse could have been a lot better. So if you were looking for a proper upgrade from the G305, I don't think this is the right choice.